Bienvenidos. Today is currently August, I think it's 25th. I just wanted to say that it's almost the end of the summer, and at the end of the summer means that all of my summer reads are coming to a close. So every single year that I've done for a while, I track every single book that I've read over the summer. I've been doing this since 2017, I think. That's when I really started getting into tracking what I read and when I read it, how much I read, whatever. But my summer is always summer break. It's not the entirety of summer, but when I'm done with school and when I go back to school, that is the length of my summer. And this summer I've had a longer break, I guess I could say, because I got out of school pretty early and then I'm going back to school later than usual because I'm studying abroad in Spain. And in Spain they start their school year later than we do here in the States. So I'm really excited about that. However, because of that, my summer was a little bit longer and I was able to read more books than usual. So let's get started. I'm just gonna go through the list of the books that I've read so far this semester, or this summer. So the first book I read was Holes by Louis Sachar. I read this on May 8th and I gave it 5 stars. I read this physically. I really liked this book. I was surprised when I read it. I didn't think I would like it as much as I actually did, but I really liked the whole premise of the book and going back and forth with the old plot line with the great grandparents and the main character's plot line. So I liked how that was going in tandem and was still incorporated into the story. The second book I read was Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. I read this from May 7th to May 8th. I give this 3.5 books. I listened to this on audiobooks. This one was lended to me from the library. I don't know, I just kind of felt like the writing was very juvenile. I know that this is a juvenile classic, but it still felt juvenile, and it wasn't quite my favorite because of that. So, not many thoughts on it. Third book I read was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. That took me from the 12th of June to the 27th of July, so that took me a little bit longer. I gave it 5 stars and I listened to it on the audiobook lended from Libby. I also enjoyed this book. I think I spread this across a couple of other videos that I did, so I won't really expand too much on it. Aside from, I gave 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I like the themes of it. The fourth book I read was A Great and Terrible Beauty by Liva Bray. I read this from June 6th to June 8th. Oh, that's actually kind of fast. I gave it 4 stars. I read it physically, lended from the library. These next couple ones I did in tandem with a video, so I'm not going to go too in-depth about them, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It wasn't I was head over heels for. I'd probably bump it down to 3.5. It wasn't spectacular. It was just okay. And I'm going back through these. The 5th book I read was Lily's Crossings by Patricia Riley Giff. I read this from the 10th of June to the 14th of June. 3.5 stars, physically lended from the library. Same deal. It was good. I think this book would be good for kids or students. I just didn't quite resonate with it that much, but I think it's because it was my age and I don't really like history books, so historical fiction isn't my favorite fiction or genre at all. I hate historical fiction. I don't know why I always end up picking up historical fictions, my life depends on it. But the 6th book I read was also historical fiction. It's called Freckles by Jean Stretton Porter. I read this on June 14th, picked it up right after Lily's Crossing, and read it to the 25th of June. I gave this 3.5 books. I read this physically, and then the last bit I read with an audiobook through the LibriVox recordings on YouTube, which is a public domain. I get a lot of my free classics. If I ever want to read a classic and the library doesn't have it, or I'd have to wait for it, I go to LibriVox and usually they have it on YouTube. But the physical copy I got from the library, so that was a mix of the two. And it was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars. The romance is just kind of not quite what I wanted, and it wasn't really my favorite in that sense. So, like I said, those 3 I read for another video I did, so I'm not going too in-depth about them. The next book I read was Winter by Marissa Meyer. I read this from fun surprise, from the 7th of February up to the 3rd of June. I read it physically. This is my copy. I love the Lunar Chronicles. This is what these books got me into reading, and I love them so much. And the reason that it's from February to June is because I started this during the school year, completely forgot about it, and then got back into it. The book is like 800 pages. It's really, really big, and it's so beautiful. But I have it signed and everything. Guys, I always forget about this. I get so I met her right before COVID. Like, I went to one of her like signing events right before COVID hit, and I remember her talking about like, yeah, like everybody's getting sick, and we were worried I was gonna get sick, so I was gonna have to cancel this event. I'm so happy that I did it, and I got to see you guys. I'm like, me too. And then like a couple months later, she signed like all my books. She was so sweet. Ugh. But 5 stars. I love winter so much. I think my favorite book in the series is Cress or Cinder, which is the first and the third book in the Lunar Chronicles. But low-key, like, this is, like, my comfort series. If I ever want to get back into reading after a long time of not reading, I typically start with Cinder, and then I go through the whole series, the primary 4 chronicles. The next book I read is 1984 by George Orwell. I read that from the 5th of May to the 7th of May. This is like all over the place. I just noticed that. This is not in chronological order, I guess. I gave it 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook with the Kindle Audible, that sort of thing. It's like Audible exclusive that's like extremely immersive. So you are very immersed in the story. It felt like a podcast. I talked about this, I think, in my mid-year freakout tag. It was one of the best books I've read this year. I really, really enjoyed it. I kind of want to read it physically because I think it would be good to read it physically as well. That's one of the top books that I read this summer that I would definitely recommend is 1984 by George Orwell. I didn't think I would like it, but you know, I really did enjoy it. So the next book I read after that is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I read this from the 27th of July to the 28th of July with on audiobook through Libby, and I also gave this one 5 stars. Looking back on it now, maybe 4.5 stars. I really liked it in the moment. I thought the romance was super cute, really fun. The experience of reading the whole book was just so much fun, and a lot of people say that this isn't even Emily Henry's best work, so I'm excited to read other of Emily Henry's books, but I just haven't been able to get into her other books yet. I have them on hold, but everybody else is reading Emily Henry right now, so I haven't been able to pick up her other books. But I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to read more of her work, and I really liked People We Meet on Vacation. I forgot all the characters' names, but I thought they were all so much fun, and yeah. Next book I read is Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris. I read this on July 17th. I gave it 3 stars. I listened to this on audiobook through the Libby app or my library. It was just okay. This is a memoir of David Sedaris who just talks about his life pretty much, and in a comedic way. But I just thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite, and I think we have a different sense of humor. So after that, I read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read this from July 18th to July 25th. I gave this 3 stars. Listened to this on audiobook. And where was I going with this? Oh, with Libby. I also enjoyed this book, but I thought it was okay. I feel like it's a little overrated. Sometimes I think about it like to this day, so maybe I should bump it up to 3.5 or 4 stars, because I still think about the book. Like, I think about the motifs, and I think about, like, oh, like, man, that's relatable. That's crazy. So maybe I should bump it up, because for 3 star, and I still think about it in my random day-to-day life. It's like, even if I didn't really enjoy it, like, I still think about it, and it is a classic, so it is supposed to be, like, thought-provoking, so I don't know. I might bump it up to 3.5 stars. But that's The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Book I read after that was Together We Burn by Isabel Ibanez. Also probably one of my favorite books of the summer. I listened to this from the 26th of June to the 8th of July. I gave this 5 stars, and I listened to this on audiobook with the Libby app. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. Like, I just thought it was so much fun. I like the characters. I like the slow burn. I thought it was all super well done. It's very Spanish inspired, and it's what got me into reading a lot of Isabel Ibanez's work. And so far, this one's probably my favorite. So yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna grab my computer because I only wrote this many down. Okay, hi, I'm back. I have one DNF from the summer. It's No Todos los Besos Son Iguales by Elmer Mendoza. I have this book physically. I don't really know where it is though. I started reading it and then I think it was like 20 pages in, I just DNF'd it because I said I would read it later and then I never did. So that's why it's like a soft DNF. I'll come back to it later. After Together We Burn, I read Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez from July 17th. Oh my gosh, I didn't write these down. I think I read this one physically from the library. I liked it. I thought the book was good. I really enjoyed the slow burn in the moment, but honestly, looking back at it now, it's like, why did I have to wait 300 pages for that? I wish that the characters had more moments together where there was a little more chemistry and a little less barking. I don't know. And then on top of that, as I was going through the comments of this, I think I talked about this in another video I had made, but I was going through other reviews and they had talked about how politically this book is kind of questionable, and that made me kind of bump my rating down a little. So I think I have 4 stars here on Goodreads, but it's probably more like 3.5, because I still enjoyed it. Like, the story was still good to me, but in terms of like the politics and everything that I just don't really know much about, that's why I kind of bumped the rating down a little. Next book I read was The Daughter of Dr. Morel by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read this July 29th, 2024. I listened to this on audiobook and I lent from Libby. Yeah. I think I gave it 3 stars. Honestly, maybe 2.5. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. The characters just kind of felt like they were there. They're all kind of annoying. Yeah, like, they could have been a little more fleshed out, but I also think that I'm not super into like the horror genre or that, so I'm not super sure how I feel about this book. But you know, it was just a book I read this summer. It wasn't like crazy or anything. After that, I read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up: The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organization by Marie Kondo. I listened to this on audiobook, I think on August 5th. I might have done this in like 1 or 2 days. I gave this 2 stars. I read it and I was like, okay, like, yeah, it felt more like a memoir than like, I'm not so sure. It was alright, but there was a lot of things that she would say, like, although there isn't much research done about this, like, can help you lose weight. I was like, oh, okay, but like, how? Like, what? Like, you can't just say that without stating the research about it too. Like, yes, maybe cleaning helps you clear your mind and like helps you feel better. Maybe all of your, is it patients or all of your other people that have done your program to declutter and tidy up their house are successful, but like, I'm very skeptical about the 100% of people are able to do this. And then on top of that, like, I understand that a lot of her mentality and concepts are about not throwing things out but keeping what you love, but it's like, if people like their books and they like to keep them as a decoration, it's like, even if they're indifferent to the book, maybe that's just kind of like what they're going for. And I'm also like a very big, like, maybe not a hoarder, but like bordering on it. I just like keeping things that people give me, so I'm just not super, like, I don't know, like, some of the things that she would say, it's like, where is the research backing you up? You can't say that this is the best method of tidying up, but maybe like this could be a preferred method, or has it won any awards, or it's kind of like that kind of things. It's just, there were a couple things that threw me off, and like, she felt like she was not on top of it, like, egotistical about it, but I don't know, she's like the expert. Like, I don't know anything about tidying. So I gave that 2 stars because it was just okay. Like, there were a lot of things that were like whatever about. Next, after that, I read the summer series. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty on August 8th. It's Not Summer Without You on August 9th, and We'll Always Have Summer on August 18th. I listened to all of these on Audible. No, I don't have Audible, but the audiobooks on Libby, and The first book I gave 2 stars. I thought it was, wow, maybe I would have enjoyed this if I was just turning into a teenager a long time ago, but like now as an older person that's not a teenager, it wasn't that good. I felt like Conrad is very toxic, and I felt like the girl was very bratty, and I felt like, I don't know, the only character that I liked was the other guy. I forgot his name, but it's like, why are you toying with this guy if you don't even like him, and you're only using him to get at the other guy? It's like, this is so juvenile. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, if I knew you as a real person and we were friends, we wouldn't be friends. Like, I just wouldn't let that happen. And she was just so mean with her, like, actual best friend, and her actual best friend is actually not the best friend. But as the series continues, it just kind of, like, gets weird and convoluted, and then it's like, oh, I can't pick between the 2 brothers, but I ended up picking between the 2 brothers, and it's just like, the whole thing gave me an ick, but I had to read the whole series because I was just curious to see what was gonna happen. And honestly, she was still very bratty throughout the whole thing. And then by the last book, I was like, okay, she seems to have grown a little. She seems to have matured a little, because she goes into her first year of university or something like that. But the brother that she ends up picking is like not mature at all. And for the whole thing about like the big event that happens, and if somebody's just not emotionally available, like why is she gotta be so mean about it? You know what I mean? Like, if it's not gonna work out in the moment, it's not gonna work out in the moment, and you've been waiting your whole life, you might as well just move on. Like, I don't know, that's just my opinion. I wouldn't know. That's all I have on my list right here, but let's see if I read any more recently. Let's go to my currently reading. I have 3 days to finish these, so hopefully I can finish them. I am reading Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and hopefully I will finish this in time and be able to put it on my summer reads of 2024. I'm enjoying it. I'm like halfway through. It's Enemies to Lovers. I'm not tabbing it, but I am underlining quotes and snippets and stuff like that. It's okay. No, I said I was liking it, right? Yeah, I'm liking it. I felt like for an Enemies to Lovers, there's like a bit of an insta-love, and I didn't necessarily like enjoy that. And then for like the first 50 pages, I thought both of the main characters were boys, so I was like confused. Like the world building at first was really throwing me off because I wasn't understanding it. And I get it that it's like a big fantasy novel, but I was like not very immersed very well. I felt like I was kind of kicked in there and then like tossed around and like a potato sack. So I was a little lost for the majority of the first bit of the book. But once they've got lost in the desert together, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I understand. So I understood it from there. And right now I'm understanding it, but it's taking me a while to read because it's just a big chunky book. I'm not complaining about it. Like, it's alright so far. I'll just keep reading it and seeing where it goes. And then I'm also reading What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I'm listening to this on audiobook through Libby. Where was we? My thoughts on it so far, I like the concept. Like, I think she's a Bolivian girl. I'd have to check that. And her parents go to Egypt, and they like stay in Egypt. They love Egypt, but they're very secretive and they don't want her to go to Egypt with them. And she's like, I want to know what's going on. And one day her parents disappear and they are presumed dead. And she's like, what? No, like this can't happen. So she figures out a way. She's very smart and adaptive, I guess I could say. And she figures out a way to get to Egypt by herself. And her uncle there is like, no, you have to go back. Like, I don't want you here, like, go back. And she's like, no, but I want to know what happened to my parents. And he's like, no, go back. And so that's where I am right now. It's a bunch of back and forth, and it's just like, there's a lot of magical elements in the book, and I think it's alright so far. I think that the main male protagonist is kind of, well, he's not a protagonist, but the love interest is kind of annoying, but, like, no hate. It's like, whatever. And the third book I'm currently reading is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I'm reading this. Watch this. On my Kobo. Isn't this so cute? I have 5 hours to go, 32%. I started this a while ago. I guess this is my 4th time reading this. I read this on April 28th, 2021, May 30th, 2018, and October 30th, 2017. And now I'm reading it again for a 4th time, I guess. I picked this up because I was messing around with the Kobo and I wanted to see what books I could check out, and Harry Potter happened to be the first one there. And I was like, okay, why not? I've been wanting to read Harry Potter again for whatever reason, and so I clicked on it, it was available, and I checked it out. And now there's like 14 people waiting on it. So this is my first book I'm reading on my e-reader, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So far, it's okay. I'm enjoying it. I'm like going back and I'm trying to compare the characters from the movies to the characters in the book. But I haven't seen the first movie in a long time either. So I don't know. It's fun to like go back and reread like this really big series because it's like I've read this already. I know what's gonna happen, but I always miss a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of like little details here and there. It's kind of surprising. Like the world building is crazy. So yeah, those are my summer 2024 reads so far this year. I guess I could say my favorite might be either, oh wait, that's not the right one, maybe 1984 by George Orwell. I'm definitely going to be thinking about that for a while. Together We Bird by Isabel Ibanez. That one was also really fun. But I think 1984 is probably like my top book of the summer. And my worst book of the summer is definitely We'll Always Have Summer. Just not for me. I think maybe if I were like just graduating high school reading that, I don't think I would enjoy it. Maybe the first one, maybe the second one, but the third one was just a stretch. Another thing that I noticed, I was going through and comparing all my summer reads from the past years, is that I've always read graphic novels and manga, and this year I don't have a single one. I don't know what happened or why I stopped reading graphic novels and manga, but I just thought that was interesting to like point out because I always read graphic novels, and for some reason this summer I haven't. But I'm glad that you stayed till the end if you're here. I hope you enjoyed. It's kind of a long video, but I hope to finish these next 3 books pretty soon so that way they can be added to my summer reads, and can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks for staying, and yeah.